Hello and welcome to another episode of Existential Hyperfixation. Today we are working on part one of what's hopefully going to be 3 parts, but it might end up being 4 or 5, I don't know. But we are building Angron, the Primarch of the World Eaters in the Warhammer 40k universe. And I've done a couple of these 40k minis before, and I was really excited for this specific model. This model is what drew me to the World Eaters to begin with, and so I was excited for what I could do with it and what I could, make out of this model. But the default pose or stance on this model I don't love it, and so I am putting this together, but I'm going to do some modifications. And I've been having some camera issues, which you're going to see through this video. But the modifications I've made so far are essentially just to the legs and to the wings. So the legs, which we'll get to in a little bit, instead of being bent over or bent at the knee, are fairly straight now, and it kind of improves his stance, so he's much more vertical. And the wings in the default stance are very back, and so I didn't really like that. He's got these big beautiful wings, and it seemed like a waste, so I've adjusted them to make them be much more spread out to the sides. So as I'm building this model, again, I'm not super experienced. I've done a few models of these Warhammer minis, but I'm kind of learning as I go. This is the first big one I've ever done, and so I'm spending a lot of time, first of all, looking through the sprues and trying to figure out which piece is which. I have such a hard time reading the numbers on there, and multiple times while I was building the smaller minis, I definitely cut the wrong parts out, and had to spend some time trying to figure out which piece goes with which group of pieces for other models. But these models are a lot of fun to build, as long as you've got the right tools and you get the time, and you take your time to do them properly. Spend some time cleaning up. You see I've got my little sanding sticks there. With these sanding sticks, which are really great tools, I guess I have yet to find a use for the lower grits, which are much more aggressive. And so in this set that I've got, you can see the kind of olive green there off to the right hand side, as well as the yellow and the orange. The yellow is the second highest grit, and the orange is the highest grit. The yellow for me works perfectly on removing these little bits of sprue that are left on the pieces. You see I've got some sprue goo. Say that 10 times fast. I've got some sprue goo going here to help fill in some of the cracks and openings left. I also, and I don't know if anybody else does this, but the Tamiya extra thin cement is some kind of chemical that basically melts the plastic, and that's what you can use to make the sprue goo. I can talk more about that if anybody's interested. There's 100 other videos out there about making sprue goo. But the Tamiya extra thin, because it melts the plastic, I often use it to, once I've got a piece glued together, if I've got gaps left, I'll go back over it with a few coats of that Tamiya extra thin, and it just kind of naturally fills in those gaps without having to go to the sprue goo. It's basically like sprue goo on the fly. I don't know. It works well for me. So here you can see me modifying the legs. The right leg has already been modified. I still need to adjust the ankle angle. there's a lot of tongue twisters in today's episode. That right leg though, or I'm sorry, the left leg. So the I don't know, whichever one I'm working on now. That one took a little bit more. You see I'm heating it up even in some hot water here, trying to adjust and make it a little bit more pliable, a little bit more adjustable. So that one is still bent, and you'll see in the final pose that it is. I mean, obviously that knee is still bent, partially because I did like it with that leg up in the air. And the overall final pose comes out really great. One thing I didn't get on camera is this cut I'm making here. I had it all glued together and I had it sprue glued and it was all looking pretty good. And then I was trying to make some adjustments and I broke the foot off. So what I went back with some polystyrene rods, which fit into, and I actually put them way up into the leg, almost up to the knee, or almost up to the hip actually, and then left a little section sticking out the bottom. Shoved a ton of glue and sprue goo into the openings, and it holds really well. And in hindsight, I probably should have done that to start with, because this one leg is now supporting the entire model. In the default pose, both feet are touching the rock that's part of the base, and in my new pose, he's only got one foot that's holding him up. So needing to reinforce that was something that I hadn't thought about beforehand, but circumstances showed me that I needed to make that adjustment. So one thing you'll notice is that my camera has been slowly tilting down through this whole section. When we first started, the bottom of the camera was not even showing the numbers on that grid of my little work mat there. And we will get to that here in a few minutes in a little more detail as to what's going on. But so, here this is his head and face, which at the time I thought was very confusing. I don't know why it's three little parts that fit together and make the head and the mouth and the face. And there's two different options in the kit. And I went for the open mouth kind of screaming pose. But for some reason, putting those three together really confused me for a few minutes. You can see that camera angle really shifting down now. But as it turns out, the rocks that make up the base were actually way more confusing. Those took me, I mean, it's like 4 pieces, and those took me so long to figure out how to put them together. It was just not intuitive. So here I am cutting out all the little bits for the little talons on the wings. When I did the first wing, I did not keep those sorted and organized, and I had to look at the second wing and what was left and the instructions and try to cross-reference and see what order they were supposed to go in, because I thought they were the same when I was first cutting them out, and they are definitely not. It's different lengths. But here's some other pieces of the wings, and you can see my growing pile of sanding sticks off to the side there. This overall process took me a couple days worth of, it was probably 2 or 3 days of kind of putting this all together, maybe a couple hours each night. So it wasn't a quick process, but it wasn't a slow process. And I'm still a week plus later, still finding a few little spots here and there that I need to do some additional sanding on, or some additional cleanup on some of the joints and seams. You see here, I'm trying to figure out what position on the wings looks the best. And I actually ended up cutting the arms out, and I mounted the arms exactly as they are supposed to be in the model. You can see the right hand there with the axe. And the arm positions are exactly the same. I thought I might adjust the arm positions as well, but once I made the adjustments to the legs and to the wings, the arms are actually great, and I really love how it all came out. As you'll see at the end, coming up here in just a couple minutes. you know, this process has really been a lesson in patience for me, because it's so much different than how the other models have been. But let's talk about some other things. So I'm now 3 videos into this YouTube channel, and up above where the camera is mounted is actually an IKEA table leg mounted to the wall right over there, one of the extendable ones. That I have a GoPro camera is what I've been using for my recordings, and I had been using this Gorilla Grip tripod. I don't know what they're called. It came with my partner's camera package that we got for when she started streaming. And I had been using some masking tape and some blue tack to hold a helmet mount, because that's what came in the kit with my GoPro, to the tripod, and it just wasn't working. As you saw, the camera was just falling and falling and falling. And I didn't realize, because I was busy putting this model together. So I got a new mount, and well, it's working better, but I'm still having some actual camera issues. Anyway, here's me miming the position of the model, the original pose, and here's my pose. It looks so much better to me. I love just how much more open and how much more aggressive he looks. You can see the rocks there that he's mounted to. That and you know, I'm showing you the holes where I'm gonna have to go back with some milliput. That'll be in the next video. The next video is gonna be the base and the sculpting. There's still some spots on the legs that I need to do some additional sculpting on. I had to fill a hole in the rocks there. And I actually filled it with some hot glue to add a little bit of weight, just because of the way that the pose had shifted. I was worried about it falling over. And so I've got this cork on the base that comes with the model in the kit. I thought that's just, you know, my standard basing kind of start, and it looked okay. But then I thought, you know what, this is such a cool model, like I just need something better. And so I went to the hobby store, and I was looking at different things. I found this little bowl, little hexagon bowl, and I flipped it over and thought, that is perfect. And I've done some additional work on this. You're really gonna love where this goes. Yeah, so this is gonna be my new base, and it's gonna be much more grand of a presentation. And also, if you go back to my first video where I made that whole diorama with the lava and stuff, it was specifically to put this model in the center. It doesn't fit even with the wings spread out. So I'm going to use this new base. It's going to be a whole separate thing. And in the next video, we'll go over some of the basing, some of the sculpting, and hopefully we'll be able to move on after that to the painting. There's going to be a lot of different things, some new things for me to try out. So hopefully I do a good job. Regardless, it's gonna be a fun experience. So between now and then, I hope you have a fantastic week. Drink some water, take your meds, and continue to just explore.